Hey everyone, and welcome to Morning Tea. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tracy V. Allen, and today I have with me our guest, June Archer. June is a phenomenal man in our community. He does a plethora of different things. He is an author, a speaker, a music executive, a philanthropist, a community activist. He is just what do you call a Renaissance man, right?
That is the term. That is the term.
Okay.
I wear that proudly.
Okay, great. So June is here today to talk to us about the impossible dream, which is one of the things that he talks about a lot because he deals with a lot of youths as well. So June, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Awesome. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me. I know it's early in the morning and certain people are getting up, they're getting ready to work at home as we are still doing the social distancing thing and being safe. And I want to thank everybody who's tuning in and checking it out. Thank you so much for having me on the morning tea. I'm fasting, so I'm not having any tea. I'm not, now that the sun is up, I'm going back into the fast.
Okay.
But for those who are not familiar with myself, June Archer, born in Hartford, Connecticut, raised in Windsor, Windsor public school kid, and had dreams of being in the music business with a couple of friends of mine in middle school and through high school, and had the dreams to pursue music way after high school and turn down a opportunity to go to Long Island University to play soccer because I wanted to stay local, and had the opportunity to be blessed enough to stay local and go to Central Connecticut State University, where I studied communications, mass media. And finally, we did get the record deal, had my opportunity to go into the music business, where I've been since 2000. Actually, I should say 95 is when we officially became professional musicians, and our record came out in 97. Between high school and that point in time, I was working at Cigna Insurance Company. And that was a great experience, just getting the corporate America education, feel for things, and being able to be in the music business at the same time, getting an education. Then, Too Much, Too Fast, Too Soon, as a classic VH1 story, always plays itself out. We crashed and burned, and I found myself back into the music business as a music executive, working with some of, my peers and their favorite artists, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Beyonce, Omarion, and the list goes on and on. And from there, I knew that I wanted to, because we didn't have platforms back at home in Hartford, platforms that would allow people to be able to share their gift, whether it's music, comedy, and poetry. So created a platform called Hot Chocolate Soul. And in that, because there was no Apollo Theater, we wanted to make sure that people had a place to be entertained. So it was a twofer, a platform for people to showcase their talent, platform for people to be entertained. And it was there that I realized that my city needed it, the state needed, the tri-state area needed it, because we were doing showcases at Hartford Community College or whatever high school, Weaver High School, which was, they were the big things. They were the platforms that we had. And we use those platforms, and we put in our 10,000 hours that people talk about now. And with that came a certain celebrity, local notoriety, and I wanted to bring a cause and awareness to my community. So I started raising money and awareness on intervention and prevention of AIDS and breast cancer. And with those two platforms, Hot Chocolate Soul and raising money and awareness for those two causes, I created June Archer Celebration Life. Those two platforms alone are 25 years old this year. So super proud of that. And because I have a love for community and love for the village and the village concept, I created New England Music Seminar, educating people in the music business and careers in the music business, because I just realized that there were a combination of things that were taking place in the industry that people never put together. So if you like graphic design, or you like to draw, and you like music, you could be a graphic design artist, create album covers, create movie posters. If you liked law and you liked music, you could be a music attorney. So it's just putting all these pieces together and educating young people on the careers in the entertainment business and making sure that you don't end up just wanting to be in front of the microphone or
Right.
having to play an instrument. Just giving them the combination. And sometimes that seeped into other genres like sports. You may not play basketball or football, but if you like physical therapy and like sports, you could be a trainer in any of these professional leagues. So it's really educating people on the music business, and thus came New England Music Seminar. And of course, I felt like we needed to inspire our young people and inspire people of our age and older, and give people who came before us, who we stand on their shoulders, give them their roses while they're here. And I created 2 other platforms that have been widely received and successful. One being the 100 Men of Color Black Tie Gala and Awards, and the 100 Women of Color Gala and Awards, honoring 100 respectively women and men throughout the state of Connecticut, Western Massachusetts, and now Rhode Island, in everything that they do for their communities, whether it's in entrepreneurship, education, government, sports, entertainment, and letting our young people know that you have the Jay-Z's and Beyonce's in your community, that you don't always have to look at Love and Hip Hop to be inspired or want to do what you see on television. You have these people in your neighborhood, you have them in your town, you have them in your city. We've honored everyone from Anika Noni Rose to Eric LaSalle. Nice. So just letting them know that these people that you aspire to be, some of these people come from where you come from, so you can't do it. And that's been my journey, and it's been amazing. I've had the opportunity to author 2 books and create television shows on Fuse and work with ESPN and Disney and BET, and it's been an amazing journey. And I just love the fact that I come from a small town where you can still dream big. And yeah, I may not be the Puff Daddy of the world, but for me, I feel like I am that. I am the June Archer, the equivalent where I come from. Just give people hope and give them the opportunity, give them their flowers, celebrate them, and everything in between. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, that's June Archer. And there's so many other things, but
I like what you say about giving people their flowers while they're alive. I'm a firm believer in that, because when I'm gone, I don't know what you're saying, So if there's something about me that you want to celebrate it while I'm around, and I can appreciate it and thank you for it. But far too often in our communities, we tend to celebrate and make people, how should I put it, deities after they're gone, right? Where their family members may or may not be appreciative of it, but the person who you're trying to give that celebration to would have been able to give you the proper thank you for recognizing their efforts. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. We need it now more than ever. And it's been a blessing to be able to create a platform where these things are, nominated by your peers, are nominated by your coworkers and people in your community, your church family. So for that, to me, it's important, because if you're doing the work, then these people will see it and they will nominate you. They will stand up for you. And it's a beautiful thing to see people come across that Bushnell stage and get their award, or take their picture and be there with their family and their loved ones. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. How long has that program been in effect?
The 100 Men of Color started in 2013. That is 7 years. We'll be 8 years old this year. And 100 Women of Color is actually 5 years old this year. So we're super excited about that, because of everything that's happened in the past couple of months. It was in April, and we've had to push it back. It is now August 28th at the Bushnell Theater. So Lord willing, everything begins to trend in the proper direction. We'll be continuing it on August 28th at the Bushnell Theater. And these women who are being celebrated this year, they are still excited. They're so excited, and they are deserving of every accolade that they're supposed to get on that evening. And I could tell you, it is every class is special. Every class has their own thing, but this one, for the 50th year anniversary, is going to be amazing. We pulled out all the stops, and this COVID thing is kind of a blessing, because we're able to go back to the drawing board on a couple of things, and add a few things here and spice up a few things. So we're super excited about it. So, the VIP sold out. So if you
sold out, I was just about to ask you, can people still get tickets?
If you still want to get a ticket, the Bushnell you can still go online and get your ticket. And I promise you, I think before this COVID thing was going on, I think like they were close to selling. I was probably like maybe 100 tickets left.
Okay.
So if you're watching, please get your ticket,
And they
bushnell.org.
go to your
It's going to be
website?
amazing. Yeah, they can go to bushnell.org, get the
Okay.
ticket, and you could go to iamjunearcher.com if you want more information. But it is going to be an amazing evening, and the women across the states
Mhm.
of Connecticut, Western Mass, Rhode Island are going to be amazing, and the special guest honorees are going to blow your mind. So I'm super excited. And the performances and everything else are going to be amazing. So
And the 100 men, that is going to be when?
October 18th this year. It's always
Okay.
in October. We try to consistently keep in October. The women, we started in September, but now it moved to Women's Month in March. But now it's for some strange reason it's ended up in April, which has worked out. So it doesn't overpower or overshadow or not shadowed by Women's Month.
Right. Okay, great. So I know you wrote a book. Tell us about it. I know you have a version for adults and a version for kids. It's called Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh man, listen. So I found myself in 2010 falling out of love with the music and the music business, and kind of stepped away for a few months before I created a documentary on independent artists and independent producers.
Mhm.
And in one of the episodes, I talk about writing a book of inspiration, and one of the curators of the wardrobe came to me one day and kind of held me accountable, and started posting things online, sharing what I call, keys to success.
Right.
And it took off, and people, would like it, and people would tell me, hey, you should write a book. And at that point I was like, no, I don't want to write a book. I just want to share some thoughts and get people to think glass half full instead of half empty.
Right.
And probably within a year, I realized I was blocking my blessings by continuously telling people I didn't want to write a book. And I did, my market research. You have these things that are afforded to us on these social media platforms, and you look at the analytics, and I took all the most popular things that I had written on Facebook, and I put it in a book version, wrote it, and put out the book. And it wasn't until, I was in couples therapy with my wife, just we were at the 5-year mark, and people were saying, oh, you should get a tune up, and it's always great to work on your communication, and go see somebody. And I never wanted to be that guy who was like, oh, I'm not going to therapy, like, oh, it's not fun, we could talk it out.
Right.
And in those sessions, the person that was working with us always asked, so how are you doing, like, how are you since the last session? And my answer, and if people know me, they know this, I was always like, I had a great day today. Yeah, I woke up this morning. And repetitively asking me all the time, I would give the same answer, until one day she looked at my wife and was like, is he always like this? My wife was like, yeah, he is, but that's part of the problem. I'm hoping that one day, something doesn't go terribly wrong. And she looked at me and she asked me, matter of factly, she was like, can every day be a good day to you?
Right.
And before I said it, Trace, before I even said it, I knew it was going to be the title of my book. And I literally reached for my phone and I told her, like, I know we're not supposed to use the phone in these sessions, but I have to write this down. This is going to be the title of my book. I said, yes, every day can be a good day. And I took that line and I ran with it. And that was the title of the book. It's just inspiration. It's called Yes, Every Day Could Be a Good Day, the keys to success that lead to an amazing life. And just, my opinion on things of the world and in life, sharing my thoughts and ideas on how to go about your day. And some people over the years have been like, oh, well, you can't have a bad day. You're the every day can be a good day guy, but every day can't be a good day. And I'm like, every day can be. I didn't say every day will be, but every day can be a good day based on your perspective.
Right.
And, the book did well. It sold out before it even came out, the first run. And we've sold probably about 8,000 copies to date. And I said, you know what? Let's get people excited and catch them early. So I said, let me write a book of inspiration for kids. And I, found an illustrator who saw my vision, and I titled it, Yes, You Can. Just letting kids know that whatever it is that you want to be when you grow up, whatever you think you want to do, like, you can do it. And really paying homage and respect and revisiting
Mm-hmm.
careers that have gotten a bad rap or have a negative stigma to them, like a post office worker, right? So, you could be a mailman. And in the book, I talk about, can I be a mailman so I could deliver people good news, right? Because we've gotten so far away from every time the mailman comes is either a bill, eviction notice, whatever it is. But if you have a career in there and you retire, you got a great pension and you can make money.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
that's for sure.
And also,
we've gotten away from that too, the pension part.
We've gotten away from that. And, bringing light to creative, careers like being an artist or being a wardrobe stylist, being a comedian, and just letting kids know you could be whatever you want to be. And at the end of the book, for those who pick it up, no spoiler alert here, the child in the book asks, "Can I be the president of the United States?" And the dad says, "You certainly can. You could be whatever you want to be. All you have to do is believe." And in the back of the book, there's a place for the kids to sign to hold themselves accountable. There's a like a workbook back there to answer questions and make sure that they thoroughly, read it and understood what they read. And it's just an amazing interactive book. And there's a third part to the series because when I started the first book, I said, I'll do 3. And trying to finish this up now so to be ready for February 2021. And it's called After You Say Yes. Just an inspirational book for those who are in a committed relationship. Whatever it is, and just, getting back to the basics of a commitment, whether you're married, dating, is the commitment piece of it. Because I realize, especially people a little older than me in my age, where if you started early and your kid, you are coming up on empty nest syndrome, I realized that a lot of people our age and older, my parents, were out of the house and they're trying to find themselves. They're trying to figure out, asking themselves that question, that proverbial, like, I know that they call you mommy and I've seen you for a while. I've seen you for 25 years, but I have no idea what your name is. Right. That thing, like just trying to figure out, dating again or going out and spending that time because you're so immersed in trying to raise children and do the very best job that you can and get them through high school, put them through college, give them a great head start, that you kind of forget
who you are,
of who you are and why you even begun this committed relationship, and forget the small print is what I call it. And the small print is, for better or for worse, sickness and health, till death do us part, those things. So it's really just going back and giving you keys of inspiration on how to maintain these relationships during raising these kids, having these kids, putting them through college, and then hopefully by the time empty nest syndrome comes, like you haven't lost touch with your spouse or significant other. So that is the third installment, and just trying to finish that up and looking forward to really just inspiring people to live healthy, lives and have healthy relationships with those that they love.
And if you want to pick up any of those books or look for the tickets, you can always go to June's website. It's up on the screen currently. You can follow him on social media. This is up on the screen as well. And if you want to book him for any speaking engagements, you can also send him an email here. Okay, so let's touch back on your work with AIDS and breast cancer. Why those two diseases? But why those two?
Well, the first one, my grandmother had breast cancer, and it was just a way to bring awareness and having women and men, because it was, not as publicized that men could get breast cancer.
Right.
And I felt as though if we start bringing some awareness to it and having some fun with it, and it was really just a party with a purpose. It was getting people together. And I would have, when I first started, I would have bags of information about breast cancer, and there would be like doorknob things that would show you how to do a breast exam on yourself. And, the pink pins. So for those who started out when I first started in '97, you guys probably have some of this stuff, or you've seen pictures, have pictures, but it was just bringing light to the situation for women to early detection. And the AIDS piece was in the group. While on tour, I saw this poster of baby in a crib who was crying, and it said tears, cries, and sobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I love visual presentations, especially when it comes to those kind of graphic materials. And I couldn't figure out what was behind it. Tears, cries, and sobs. And I'm like, what is the baby saying? What does this thing mean?
Right.
And I look at the bottom of the poster and I see this number, and I call the number and I talk to this gentleman by the name of Daryl Decker.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask him, I introduce myself, tell him who I am and what I do. And I said, I'm trying to figure out the message, the meaning of this poster. Like, who did this poster? What does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me he created the poster, and he said that the baby was crying because the baby was sick because it contracted AIDS from its mother's breast milk. And it was in that moment that I said, I didn't know that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm certain
a lot of other people don't.
A lot of other people didn't know it. And that was my way of saying, you know what? Let's get people to start thinking about getting tested and being educated on this.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, he had spoken to me about a facility in Uganda, Africa, that was reusing needles to treat their patients. And it was something that disturbed me about that, because if you're treating these patients with dirty syringes, and some of them have AIDS, two things are happening. Well, a few things are happening. One is you're infecting people who don't have it. Two, you're reinfecting those who have it.
Right.
So money that was raised from June Archer Celebration of Life went to making sure that we got syringes, we got alcohol, we got alcohol swabs, we got latex gloves. And instead of shipping them or giving them to the Red Cross and all the other organizations that said they could do it, I did research and realized, especially this particular facility, was not going to get it. Whether it was held up in customs or held up at a border, they never got these things. They never got the materials. So we researched a way to take this money, buying all these things, and literally shipping it ourselves to these facilities so that we knew that they got them. And I don't think people realize how much money that costs, right? Because you can ship it to, any organization that's doing it, and it may not cost much, but to make sure that these particular people who really need to get it was very expensive.
Okay.
So those first years doing it, literally, everything that was brought in was made sure that we were able to get these things and make sure that these people had them in Uganda, Africa. And it's something to this day, as I'm talking about it, I'm very proud of that, because at that point and at that age, I don't know anybody who else was doing it.
Right.
And like I said, it was a party with a purpose. So people didn't know, they just came. It's my birthday weekend. It's Thanksgiving weekend. It's a great time to get together. After everything was said and done, everybody went home. We made sure that these were the efforts that we were trying to make sure that we put forth, raising awareness on both issues, educating people on them, and making people have this call to action about getting breast exams, male or female, staying on top of that, encouraging women to do it, and encouraging people to get tested for AIDS and support what we were doing with that initiative. So that was a reason for both of those two things coming together in one particular event.
Okay. What I like is that you leveraged your status in the community for good. And a lot of people tend not to do that. We all have some type of pull in the community. And if we can get people together to help to support a cause, why not?
Yeah.
Usually we leverage our status in the community for selfish reasons, but you chose to do it for good. And the second point I wanted to make was that, because I work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, because I'm a nonprofit consultant. you did not have to start a nonprofit organization to actually help in the community. And that's something that I like to drive home to people all the time. You can help, you can make impact in any community you want to without starting a nonprofit organization. It is not the beginning all to end all. And I know it sounds strange to a lot of people that I'm saying that as a nonprofit consultant.
Right. It seems strange, but
but a lot of people are not equipped to be founders of nonprofit organization. It is an extremely great undertaking to run an effective nonprofit organization. And I just would prefer that the people who are not made for that just go ahead and do something like you did and create impact in other ways. Join other organizations that are already in effect, or start something on your own that is not a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, start where you are, work where you are, and give where you are.
Right.
It makes all the difference in the world. Whether it's $1, whether it's $5, it's $10, it's $20, whatever it is, you could do it. Whether it's helping people carry clothes to a local shelter, which is another thing that we've been doing for the past 4 years. You know, collecting money from the community, collecting clothes and used toys and old Halloween costumes from children to make sure that these people who are stuck in a situation, be it for whatever reason, that are in these shelters, have some clean clothes.
Right.
And we partnered up with Batterson's Cleaners, who dry cleans everything that is donated. And for me, that was a big piece of it, because there's nothing worse than having a need, being in a shelter, and people, everyone always, every year, they dump clothes and throw clothes to these shelters. But what I realized is you're giving these people dirty clothes. You're giving them clothes that have been in the attic that you've worn, and they're not clean. And there's nothing worse than be down and out, and your pride is
further compromised.
Even further, because now you're confronted with, I need a jacket, but this jacket stinks. This jacket is torn to pieces.
Yeah.
But because you have this need, it's kind of like you're stuck in a rock and a hard place. So Batterson's Cleaners and the Zano family, Randy Zano, a childhood friend of mine from when I worked at the Cleaners, at Batterson's Cleaners, decided to partner up. And he said, anything that you are able to gather and people donate, whether it's users new, we're going to dry clean everything, we're going to wash everything, we're going to bag it up, and you just find the facilities, and we will come and we will bring the truck and we will drop everything off. And we are on our 4th year, and the response has just been amazing. And just to see people with clean, dry, clean clothes makes the difference in the world.
And I want to make that bring home that point. There's no tax exemption for you doing this. There's no tax exemption for Batterson doing this, because you're not a nonprofit.
Nope.
And there's no tax exemption for the people who are donating the clothes to you. If you truly want to help, the tax exemption really doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. It should be a soul on your tax.
Right. Exactly. Yes, I love it. So tell us, what are the top 3 things adverse, I should say, what are the top 3 things that you had issues with starting your business? Like, what are the things that you came up against when you decided to start your business?
Oh, there was a few. When I first started the Celebration of Life piece, I wasn't a promoter. I was in a music group, just trying to do something philanthropic. And the promoter at the time, who was from New York, I literally candidly asked him, hey, can I use your mailing list to invite people to this event? I want to raise money for AIDS and breast cancer. And he literally said, like straight up said no to my face. And I was crushed. And I literally had to, one by one, email by email, home address, business address, go around and ask people and just create flyers and hand them out. And I realized, like, with him saying no, it allowed me to learn a valuable lesson in building your brand. So what I got out of that was, if you get on he pretty much said, yo, you got to get your hands and knees dirty yourself, and you got to go out there and promote it yourself.
Right.
And that was one of the toughest things. But in the end, I realized, 25 years later, like I have a brand that's out there,
Mm-hmm.
and not just one, a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
because he said no.
Right.
And realizing that, sometimes you can't take it for granted, because even with building a brand, there's brand loyalty. But then I realized that you have to change with the times, which was
Mm-hmm.
something that I didn't really understand when you're actually an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
You realize 25 years ago, a lot of my peers, we didn't have children.
Mm-hmm.
So people could go out and they could spend money freely. They could have a good time. And as 10 years went into it, it's like, okay, the crowd is changing. Like, people are staying home because they're not going out as much. And so people
Right.
have kids, and they're deep in their career. And then it's like 20 years later, you see, people now they got their grandparents, their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're babysitting their kids. And it's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
like so you got to find new and different ways to be able to bring people together. So
Right.
men and women of color, one thing I've been blessed with is the demographic on a lot of things that I do is cross cultural, and it spans a wide demo in terms of age. So
Mm-hmm.
you talk about honoring people in our communities. We've had people from 19 years old
Mm-hmm.
to 80 years old. So
Okay.
you think about all of their peers and everyone in between,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking anywhere between 18 and 80, right? So it cuts across a lot of the genres and demographics, which is a beautiful thing. But realizing, how do you make that happen? So it's not an easy thing, but you have to be able to. One of the adverse things is trying to figure out how to stay with the times and stay up on
Relevant.
what you do, and recreating yourself. I
Yep.
realized, I was a musician. I was, an executive. I'm now an author, a motivational speaker. You could say event planner or party promoter.
Yep.
Someone who's into philanthropic, endeavors,
Mm-hmm.
but it's recreating yourself,
Yes.
rebranding yourself
Mm-hmm.
every opportunity you get, at least every couple of years, just trying to figure out what else are you going to do to move the needle in your community, and immerse yourself in what is needed to continue to make that village concept work. So
I like
those are probably the main two. There's so many stories.
this.
Those are the two that stand out, because you're not going to always be successful, and people are going to come after you, and people always are trying to get to the number one spot.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been number one, I've been number two, I've been 3, 4, and 5. But you go out to be number one.
Right. I like what you said, using that no to propel you to your yes.
Have to.
Because a lot of times people get that no and
They get stuck.
They get stuck. They give up. They, walk away because they feel defeated. But you took that no, you turned it around and used it to fuel your success. So I really like that a lot.
No, I appreciate that. It's important. Super important.
Yeah. So what are the top 3 things that you would tell people who are starting a business currently, in a business, feel stuck in their business? What are the top 3 things that you would tell them to do or to adhere to in order to be successful in today's
top 3 things? I would say the first one, the most important one, is find something that you love. Don't do it because you think it's going to bring you quick money or a lot of money, or because Tracy's doing it, because June's doing it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Find something that you are passionate about, that you wake up and fall in love with every day, no matter if it goes good, bad, or indifferent. That is the first thing. Secondly, put the work in. People talk about these 10,000 hours. I put in 3 times that.
Right.
And, I'm successful at some things, and some things I'm still paying my dues. And if you put the work in, meaning you day in and day out, you educate yourself on that particular thing, and you become a practitioner of that field, and that the ins and outs of that thing, you will be successful. But you have to, it's like a basketball player. If you want to do great at making free throws, you got to practice your free throws every opportunity you get. Not like, I'm going to do it today and probably get around to it on Friday. It doesn't work like that. Like you, and if it does work for you, it's not going to work for you immediately. Right. So work on whatever it is that you love, every opportunity that you get. If it's public speaking, try to do that every day. If it's sports, athletics, if it's music, pick up that guitar, go on that drum set, practice feverishly just to be your best. Watch the people who are great. It'll be the last thing I would say, or the third thing. For me, my competition is the people who have already done it. So I look at Jay-Z, I look at 50, I look at, no matter what you think of him, Russell Simmons is an amazing entrepreneur, right? I'm looking at Oprah, right? So that's, believe it or not, that's my competition. People say, oh, you got a lot of things going on. Like you doing, like you're this Renaissance guy. Like, yeah, I am, because I see it. I see people doing it. Even when people will say, you know what? You should stick to one thing and be good at that.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Jack of all trades, master of none. And I'm saying to myself,
no, you can be a master of many.
You could tell somebody else that, but if Jay-Z has all these businesses, if 50 have all these businesses, and so does Puffy and Russell Simmons and Oprah, oh, I can do it too, because it can be done. And no one's ever saying, you know what, Oprah, stick to the interviewing thing. Right? You should do that. Jay-Z, you should just stick to rapping. That would probably be the better thing for you. Just go down on the Rockaware and the title and all the other things, and the vodkas and the movies. Stick to rapping. That's not the case. So I'm gonna try to pursue it just like they can.
Right.
I'm gonna educate myself on everything that I love. Like I love music, so I do music. I love television, so I do television. I love hosting, so I do it. I love throwing events, so I do it.
Right.
There's nothing that I won't. There's nothing that I love that I won't immerse myself and put that 10,000 hours in.
Right.
To be good at it. So that would be those would be the three things that I would say.
I love that. And the last one that you talked about, where we try to put, and I've been saying this like on the show constantly, because I get people who are of the same mindset for whatever reason, where we tell people that you can only do this one thing. You can't do multiple things. You can't have multiple passions. You can't have multiple talents. And I think that's one of the most dangerous things that we tell to kids as well.
No, we do. And I'll say this too, Tracy. I think that in these days and times, we'll talk about the last 3 months, right? If you were to tell someone to stick to one thing, and that one thing was feeding them, and at this point, they might have 2 other things that they just didn't pursue. A lot of people are out of work because they relied on one thing, right? But if you have multiple streams of revenue, when somebody says no and nobody wants to do this, then you have something else to kind of fill in that gap. Not to fall back on, but something to fill in that gap. But here it is. I have events that have been canceled. That's the stream of revenue that's not there. I've had events that I was supposed to speak at as a motivational speaker. Those events are canceled. So those 2 streams of revenue. Right. So now I have the podcast, I have the TV show. Like, so if I don't try to make sure that I'm well versed in as many things as possible, then I'm shut down. I'm sitting at home, not doing anything.
Right.
So give yourself the benefit of doubt, even if it's something in arts and craft, or you're this time of year, people getting their taxes done. Learn some tax stuff. Somebody's taxes. People get money for that, and you only have to do it for what, 2 months? Right. 2-3 months, or January to April. Right. Learn how to do somebody's taxes. Like, we all have to learn it at some point, right? When we're in school, right? You learn about accounting. Pick that up as a hobby. You don't have to do it all the time, but it's an extra check here and there. So find yourself doing more than one thing at a time, and see what that spawns. I think we do a disservice to ourselves and to our young people when we just tell them, like, stick to one thing. I would say. Stop telling people to be just good at one thing and just focus on one thing when they could be so much more.
Exactly. Yep. So thank you for joining us for Morning Tea this morning. I really appreciate you dropped some real nuggets. And again, I want to implore the people who are watching, if you want to get in contact with June, you can follow him on social media. It's on the screen: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at June Archer. You can check out his website at imjunearcher.com, and to send him an email to book him or to inquire about other services, it's 1128events@gmail.com. And thank you again for joining us for Morning Tea, and we will see you tomorrow for another episode. Have a great day, everyone.